Welcome to the Cherland podcast, where I, Connor Cherland, meet up with a musician, figure out what makes them tick, ask them about their lives, and ask them to play a couple songs if they're willing. On today's show, we have Andrea Lisa, who is so sweet. I met her down in LA about a year and a half ago around Christmas time, and her songwriting ability, her ability to shred on the guitar, and also her wonderful humility and kind demeanor was an immediate attraction to me, so we became very quick friends. And I hope you enjoy learning about her time in the cruise lines. I hope you enjoy hearing about her tours with her band, and I hope you learn a lot. I definitely did. Enjoy. Sweet. So first off, the reason why I really wanted to talk to you is because I really liked you when we first met, because you seemed so cool and down to earth. And then I also learned that you were from New Zealand, which is one of my favorite accents. So many things immediately, even before I got to hear you sing. And then I got to hear you sing and play, and I was like, this girl is crazy dope. But I'd love, first off, just to hear a little bit about some of these people you've surrounded yourselves with, because you were also with a great group of people that night. Can you tell me a bit about your first band after getting out of school? How'd you meet them? Who are they? What were they like? How'd that get started?
Okay, so I met the drummer at my high school.
Nice. And
so we've known each other for a long time, and we started doing music during my last year of high school.
He's so good.
He is amazing. I literally told him the other day, I'm like, I think he's probably the musician I vibe with the most when I'm writing my songs. He's in my brain. He knows just the groove that to match that. He's really good. Yeah, if I when I get a huge tour, I would probably bring him over if I could, because he's still in New Zealand.
Okay.
So that's Lenny. And then I met Nick, the bass player, and Alex, saxophone, keys, flute, at university.
Okay.
So I went to jazz school and did a Bachelor of Music in jazz performance, jazz guitar.
Yeah.
And so, I met them there. I started doing a regular gig with the sax player. I got a gig and I asked him if he would be the sax player. So we already connected from that point. And the bass player, we used to often play in the same sort of groups in university and started doing gigs together here and there. And we all kind of started getting closer in the third year of university. And when that was done, I started my mission to start my originals band.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd gone through a few different musicians and eventually settled on these dudes.
Yeah.
And we just worked really hard. And we practiced for probably a year.
Wow.
Yeah, we actually moved to Australia.
Yeah.
And I think we practiced for 8 or 9 months every day, learning all these songs and working on my original material. And then we started touring and doing performance contracts.
Yeah. In
different places like Dubai and Europe, France. And then we started doing cruise ships, and in between that we would do originals gigs whenever we would come back to New Zealand or Australia, since that was kind of a base as well for us.
Yeah.
So it was really non-stop. There were times we didn't sort of go home for 2 years, because we'd go from contract to contract to contract. We did a lot. We did a lot of gigs. In 1 year, we were gigging, almost every night, especially in the places where they kind of drive you.
Right.
Real hard. Yeah.
What was it like working on a cruise ship as a musician?
We had a pretty good line that we used to work for, and most of our contracts were really good.
Mm-hmm.
So we we would do generally like 3 sets a night.
Ooh.
Oh, there was one contract that was the worst though, where we had to do like almost, it was generally like 4 sets, like, because I know on some cruise ships people bands can do 4 or 5 sets. Like in our contract it says you may be asked to do 5 sets. That's the worst that you would get, but generally it's 3 sets. Occasionally it's 2 sets. But we actually got a manager from a different line at one point, and he was like, what is up with all of these 3-set shows? I don't get it. And we were like, no, this is how it is.
Yeah.
You know, but he changed everything to like 4 sets, 5 sets. During that contract, my drummer actually got injured.
Right, with his wrist.
His knee and his wrist.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And that was just...
How long is a set?
Set is 45 minutes, but he pushed them to 1 hour sets. That was wild. And most of the time working on ships was pretty easy because you get to like do your music, blah blah, but you have the whole day to yourself. And I know like a bunch of the musicians would like, you know, go out and see, because I mean one day you're like in Jamaica, the next day you're in the Bahamas, or another day you're in Croatia or whatever. But like we were really focused. We would practice a lot.
Wow.
Practice a lot. And I was let's just say I was kind of like my mum used to call me the slave driver.
Yeah, okay.
Or the drill sergeant, not slave driver. That's weird. So I would really kind of push my band pretty hard to practice every day, and we had kind of missions and tasks that we needed to do. And so ships were really good. We saved money and did all that, you know. That's how I paid for my visa here and all that.
How many hours of material do you think you guys had, like unique material without repeats? Like how long do you think you could go?
Oh, we could easily go a full week of doing like shows every night and not repeat.
That's insane.
We had like 500-600 songs memorized.
What?
Yeah. That was one of the rules, no sheet music on the bandstand.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so intense.
I did apologize to my band afterwards. I was like, hey, I might have been a little bit too intense. They were like, no, it was good. It was okay. Now I can basically memorize songs in like 10 minutes. I'm like, cool.
I mean, that is an amazing skill, and I'm sure it serves you to this day all the time, where learning comes way quicker for you than it would for me, who has never done something so intensive.
I just feel like you can really connect to the music when you're not like looking at an iPad or sheet of paper, you know, because you know what's coming up and you've worked on it so much that it's kind of second. It's kind of like muscle memory, and then you can add your own vibe and your own touch to it, you know, if you have it memorized. Right. So I was really kind of felt strongly about that.
During that time with your band, what was the difference between like an originals gig and a covers gig? Or was it like, were most of them like mixed, like you could do covers with also some originals, or were some gigs where they just like only play covers kind of a thing?
We didn't. Fortunately, we always kind of had managers and supervisors who were fine with me throwing in my original material in there. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the time it was mixed, and it kind of we always kept it fresh. So sometimes we would play more of a covers based or like a jazz based standards, all those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. We would do that more, or some nights we would play like a whole lot of originals, you know, just kind of change it up. Yeah. Man,
that's really neat. And so what kind of ended that season of your life? Because there's one point where you and the band, you all decide to start on your own like solo individual careers and focus in on that. Was it because of the injuries, or what was there like an event that triggered that?
It actually was because of the injuries. Okay. We went back to New Zealand, I think it was like the end of 2015, because there was just one day that our drummer was just like, I can't do this anymore. And we knew we had to get him back to get treatment, because he'd been trying to get it better. He even got treatment in France.
Wow.
From like one of the greatest chiropractors apparently in the world.
Yeah.
And that guy like kind of healed him, and then it just came back.
Yeah.
You know, it was crazy. We got like super excited, but then kind of sad about it again because it came back.
Right.
But yeah, we ended up going back home, and the main issue was that they couldn't figure out the problem with his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that was obviously frustrating for him and hard for us as well. So we were kind of like a bit of a standstill, but we would still kind of squeeze a few gigs in here and there. We ended up doing another contract. We ended up going to France again.
With his hurt hand?
With his hurt hand, but I had the idea of getting a foot snare.
Okay.
For his left foot.
Yeah.
So we got him a foot snare, and that's how he played in France, with one hand and a foot snare, and his right hand is kind of crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, he used to, we would play anything, we'd play Latin or whatever.
That's insane.
But it just got too much. It got too much. And then we were all just kind of waiting on his doctor appointments and all that, and then I just finally said, like, we can't wait for him forever. We tried other drummers too.
Right.
Like momentarily, it wasn't really working out. The whole band.
I mean,
just
when you
didn't
already
sound
know
right.
500 songs, like, it's impossible for anybody else to step in.
Oh yeah.
Because the barrier to entry is 500 songs.
Especially when I can call any song out of those 500.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, we mostly play these, and most of there were only a few songs we kind of rarely played, and then I would kind of remind the guys like, hey, we might play this song this week, so just check it out because I know we hardly play it.
Okay.
But generally, yeah, it was difficult, like playing with other drummers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
we said we would wait.
Yeah.
And give him time, but let's go off and do our own thing.
Right.
And then during that time, I had I got hit up online by saxophone player Kirk Whalum to play on his album, and that's when I kind of made the move to the States.
Okay.
At that time, it was just to record and then visit LA, and actually the bass player came with me to hang out, and I think Alex was on a ship at the time, and then that's when I like kind of fell in love with LA at that point.
Wow.
Yeah,
because you were supposed to fly back.
That's the second time. So I came here for like I think 6 weeks after recording in Memphis with Kirk, and then I went back to Australia. Actually, both of us, Nick and I, went back to Australia. And I was like super naive, thinking, oh yeah, I'll just sort out my visa. Let's just get this visa sorted and I'll just go back.
American visas are easy, yeah.
That is no joke. I would not wish that on anybody. Like seriously, like whoa. So I'm in Australia like thinking, yeah, I'll just sort out this visa. No, it doesn't work like that. It's a lot of work. Right. So eventually I ended up going back to New Zealand, and then Nick hit me up one day. He was just like, oh hey, they're having this deal on a trip to LA. You just have to go for the month of November, in and out.
Yeah.
And he was like, you want to go? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm not really doing anything. And that was when I didn't go home.
Wow. What happened during that trip? I mean, it sounds...
Wow. That was a wild
Did
trip.
Alex stay?
Alex was on a ship. He was still...
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
he
Nick.
Was...
Did Nick stay with you in LA too?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
Nick went back. I just decided like maybe 2 days before, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go home.
Yeah. Why?
You know what? I met this random dude from Slovenia who was just like, no, not in that way. He was like a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
And it was the week of me leaving to go back to New Zealand. And I was like, oh, I just don't want to go home. Like, I don't want to go home. And he had this thing about him. He would wear lemon around his neck every day.
A lemon?
Yeah.
How?
An actual lemon.
Would he like put a rope through a lemon or what?
He had a hook in it.
A hook. Okay, cool.
And it was like tied to these beads, like this chain.
Yeah.
Like this chain that looked like it was going to fall apart, but never ever did.
Yeah.
And he was there when I was like, I don't know if I want to go home. And he was like, bite the lemon. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, sometimes you just got to bite the lemon. And it was that little seed. I know it sounds wild. And that's why I have these like bite the lemon stickers on some of my guitars. Because I'm like, yeah.
Okay,
his
hold
brand
on.
is actually called Smiley Lemon.
So
Yep.
did you actually bite the lemon on his like necklace? Or that's just like a phrase he uses?
You are wild. That's just a little phrase that he uses.
I thought it was like a thing that he uses to like, he actually makes people like, no, I need you to bite this lemon right now.
Oh, that's hilarious. I mean, I would bite his lemon.
Sure. Dang, that's crazy. What an interesting fellow.
Yeah, it was the actual, like, he was saying, like, you know, people don't want to take risks because of how sour it might be.
Yeah.
Like, how it might end up. Like, when you think about it, like, taking a risk, you think about the things that could happen.
Right.
And it's generally like, oh, I'm going to stay here. Oh, well, what could happen? Like, oh, you could, like, run out of money. You could, like, not have somewhere to stay. You could, like, potentially just, you don't know the place.
Right.
You know, there's so many risks. Like, you know, there's people back home that are waiting on you.
Right.
All these things. And it was like, well, why not take a risk and just see what will happen? That was something that I really explored. I've kind of always been a risk taker.
Yeah.
But not to that extent.
Yeah.
Of like doing something that isn't calculated.
Yeah.
You know?
What has it been like living in LA? Because you seem pretty intense for like compared to most musicians that I know. Like you seem to have like a much thicker skin and like the ability to learn 500 songs, like the willingness to perform 3 times a night, every night for months straight. Like that, it's a kind of grit that I don't see very often. So like how is that faring for you in LA?
I honestly, to answer that question, I am so busy, like writing songs, practicing and doing that, and now producing, that honestly I can't even compare myself because I'm just so busy doing my thing that I don't know, I'm really not concerned about it either, you know, because I think that if we take time to think about those things, we get distracted on what we really should be focusing on.
Sure.
You know? So I try and keep that mentality kind of going.
Well, great.
Because I know I'm kind of different and maybe a bit of a weirdo at times, but
in a good
hey,
way.
You know.
Yeah. What has it been like having mentors like Jonathan Butler and Kirk Whalum in your corner? Like, what are some takeaways that you've learned from them that maybe some other people wouldn't have gotten?
Oh, damn. Probably, actually, one of the most life-changing moments was like a moment I had with Kirk Whalum when I first went and recorded a song for his latest record. This lesson was so crazy, it blew my mind. So basically, I remember there was a time back in like 2015 where I was really you know, exploring the options of giving up music.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty serious about it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about giving it all up and going to university to study psychology.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that came from, but I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm done.
Yeah.
And during that time, I was quite miserable and not in a good place. But I wrote a song called How to Lose.
Mm-hmm.
And the song was basically about, trying to go back to the time where you didn't know about that much about this industry,
Mm-hmm.
And how kind of careless and passionate and, nothing bothered you.
Yeah.
That's what the song was about.
Yeah.
And I remember playing it at some shows in New Zealand. I remember playing it for some friends. I ended up going on a duo contract with Alex at one point. I remember playing it for, some amazing songwriters on there. And funny, it was so strange. Like, people were not vibing with that song. Like,
Yeah.
and I was kind of like, I was getting a little butthurt by it. Like, honestly, I was like, I don't know. I feel like it's a good song. Like, people were telling me, I don't get it. I was like,
Yeah.
ouch.
Yeah.
Like, there's too much going on. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I just kind of was like, oh, whatever. Maybe it's not a good song. And when I was in Memphis, I was actually kind of curious, and I asked Kirk Whalum, I was like, oh, can I play you some songs of mine? And he was like, sure. And then that was one of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't really say anything.
Yeah.
Sang the song to him, and I closed my eyes. I didn't want to really see him. This guy's like my hero.
Right.
And I was just like, okay, gonna sing the song. Sang the song. At the end of the song, I opened my eyes, and his head was down, and he literally had tears like streaming down his face. And he was just like quiet.
Yeah.
And he said, I feel you. I get it.
Wow.
And in that moment, I was like, oh, damn, we're totally not going to please everybody.
Yeah.
It was just so real because I'd experienced not that much positive, responses from it in the past. And then I get, this guy who I admire immensely
Right.
is like bawling his eyes out. I was like, okay, if he thinks it's good,
Yeah.
maybe it's time I just go and just try, like really try,
Yeah.
and be brave.
Yeah.
And I guess that's probably where it started for me.
Yeah.
So I talk about Smiley Lemon, but I think it was already in me from probably at that point. I was like, nah, I've got to like start focusing on me and my music, as opposed to like, just sort of touring around and playing shows on ships and in bars and hotels. Like, that's not really what I want to do.
Yeah. What is what you want to do, like develop your songwriting, or like develop like what is it that you're saying?
I would like to develop my brand as an artist, and my presence, and be able to do some shows that are under my name, at some pretty amazing venues and locations and festivals. That's the goal for myself, with performance. And then I'd love to have my songs placed on films and, television, stuff like that. I write a lot. And so what else? And have other artists sing my songs,
Yeah.
That's what I'd really like to do.
Yeah.
I love writing.
Yeah. I mean, as do I. So that's totally fair.
Yeah.
It's got to feel so crazy to make your hero cry with a song of yours. That's got to be, and that's not even a lesson that he taught you. That's like you just watched him cry to your own song. It's just a lesson you learned for yourself.
I swear, those 3 days that I was like in Memphis was like some of the most character building moments of my entire life.
Wow.
I was just like, wow, like I learned so much. You know, even while I was recording, I was like, I would say, "Oh, can I do that again?" And he would make little comments like, "No, like it's this is not about it's not about that." You know, focus on what's actually important here.
Yeah.
And what you have to say. As opposed to like trying to be this great musician that I'm trying to be, you know?
Yeah.
And when I started to let that go, things actually started to improve for me as a musician.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why, like, practically, what did that look like? Like, was it singing a line? Like, you were singing a line, but you were trying to be too fancy with it? You're like, or
maybe not trying to be fancy. I was trying to be perfect with the timing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. And he was saying, just feel it.
Yeah, he was like, I don't think Aretha was worried about the timing. I remember he said that. He was like, I don't think... Yeah, Aretha wasn't afraid of whether it was on the... like here on the bar or whether it was slightly here or slightly there. Just like sing the song, you know?
Wow.
So I was like, true. Okay, let me try that.
That's amazing advice.
Yeah.
It's also good, like, I think your ability to solo really speaks to that, on the guitar, I mean.
Thank you.
Because one, your songwriting ability is great, and your singing is great, but also your ability to solo for as long as you do, as interestingly as you do, and to, like, feel it the way that you do, it, like... Watching you solo makes me want to learn how to solo so bad so that I could somehow like express myself in that way. Do you have like a particular like certain number of licks that you fall back on, like certain licks that you seem to always incorporate in whatever you're doing, or is it always like this totally fresh new random thing?
I would say that there's kind of vibes that I would fall back on, but it's not really something that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
You know, I used to, because I did study the guitar.
Yeah.
I used to really do that and like learn licks and lines, and when I'm here do this, you know.
Yeah.
But it all kind of changed over the last like couple of years. I try to just follow like a voice that's in my head.
Yeah.
If I can connect with it, which it's getting a lot easier to connect with these days, but in the past it hasn't always been, you know. But it's literally like a voice or like someone that's singing in my head.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, that's what I kind of try and think of when I'm, or try and feel when I'm soloing. But I did practice a lot of guitar back in the day. Yeah. Like a lot.
It's so cool, but also kind of like annoying to hear all people who are great at it, because they all say the same thing, which is like, you know, you can like, you learn all these things, but at the end of the day, you just have to feel it. There's no right way to do any of it, because if it works, it works. And the only way you know that it works is you've tried it in the past and you know where it fits and where it doesn't. And would you be down to play a song during since you just talked about the lady singing in your head? Might as well let that person sing a song.
This song is it's a song about, you know, when you kind of get to a place where you realize where love needs to come from, and that is yourself. Then you get to the next stage of like feeling like you're not looking for like a partner, you're just looking for someone to like roll with, you know. So that's what the song is about. It's not a matter of loneliness, it's just a matter of time. I'm good with who I am right now. It's not that I'm trying to find no fabrication either. This new chapter has left that all behind. I just want your presence here for a little while. Oh, drive with me, fly with me. Let's sail beyond the waves that's formed by our society. Go with me, but stay just who you are. This is no fantasy, it's far beyond reality. No resistance, no restrictions. Let's keep both doors open wide. I'm not afraid, but I wonder if you are. Can't you see that you and I are more than just a song? Drive with me, fly with me. Let's sail beyond the waves that's formed by our society. Go with me, but stay just who you are. This is no fantasy, it's far beyond reality. I used to feel like I needed someone to hold my hand. Oh, till I learned that I'm the only one who can do that. Won't you drive with me, fly with me? Let's sail beyond the waves that's formed by our society. Go with me, but stay just who you are. This is no fantasy, it's far beyond reality. Oh,
That's so good.
oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Man, I'd love to ask you some rapid fire questions. These have no necessary relationship to each other. I just love asking musicians these things. What's one misconception you feel like people have about what you do as a musician or the music industry in general?
That I only play jazz.
Nice.
I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there other genres you want to branch out into?
That I do branch out into?
Sure. Yeah.
I love soul, R&B. I love alternative music so much.
Yeah.
Like,
Great.
yeah, I love it. I like some pop music, but R&B, soul, alternative is really my vibe.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that was my impression of you, that was more your vibe, like not
Yeah.
jazz necessarily. What's a piece of bad advice you hear in the music industry?
Let me say that the bad advice is people not telling you to learn about the business. Just keep going. Someone's gonna hear you.
Yeah.
You're gonna be somewhere one day, and someone's gonna hear you. Don't get me wrong, that's totally happened to me. That's actually how Kirk Whalum heard me on a cruise ship.
Right. Yeah.
That happens, but you need to be on a stage. You need to be out. Like, people have hit me up saying like, good luck for you. Like, that was lucky that you were in the right place at the right time. Or I'm like, what do you mean I was in the right place in the right time when I was in Cozumel, Mexico, when Kirk was also on the ship?
Right.
I actually practice with my band so hard. In order to get our first contract, it took us, I think, 8 months to get an agent.
Yeah.
And they're like, record a new video, do this. And the thing that I tell people is, it's not just going to happen. You have to be out there.
Yeah.
You have to make yourself heard.
Yeah.
So it's not going to happen when you're playing at the local bar just now and then. So
right.
I feel like you've got to travel. Yeah.
For someone who is at the stage where they're just playing at their local bar, let's say they're like playing locally 3 to 4 times a week, what would you advise them to do in order to gain more awareness, like moving forward? Like travel and do that other places as well?
That would be my main thing, is that, something could very well happen if you're doing a residency. But I do feel like the world, different places, like being in Europe, being in the States, being in the UK, it's all different. So what do you really want? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you really want to play jazz, like jazz,
yeah,
you have to go to New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe Paris, but New York is the place for really straight ahead jazz music. So if you have a dream to do that, but you're playing in a pub in Perth in Australia, or or you're playing on an island somewhere, I don't know.
Yeah.
It might not be the prime location for you to be heard.
Yeah.
Because is it really the vibe? So
right.
I had to leave New Zealand because I don't really know if the response for my vibe was like really being heard that much, you know. And also there was just like a feeling that I had when I was here in LA, that I felt like, oh yeah, this is like the place. I don't know. I feel like you gotta travel, and you gotta find what like really moves you. And right. I think when you're in that space, great things can happen.
Yeah. What do you think gave you your initial work ethic? Because you have a lot of work ethic. Is it like your parents or like a mentor you had?
Yeah, probably my parents. My siblings are all like super hard workers. My grandfather as well. I think when I was like 14 years old, my grandfather, or maybe younger, I was younger, my grandfather opened a bank account for me, and wow. He was like teaching me how to save. He was like, I used to babysit, and he was like, okay, half of your money goes into and the rest you can do whatever the hell you want, but put half in there. I was like, okay. And my mum as well. My mum was always really focused on business, you know. Yeah. She always had some kind of business going.
Like what?
From the time I was born, she was like making clothes and selling clothes to cooking this and doing that to now owning a health and safety company that trains and audits, different companies. So she's always she used to own a store in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And like sell various items. So she was always like hardworking and always talking about making money.
Yeah.
How can we make money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
She's
the
that
kind of grit
lady-
that you need.
Yeah, she's that lady at like, I don't know, when you're out somewhere going, oh, imagine if we bought like 1,000 of those, and then we could sell them separately, and we could do this. And what do you think about doing this? And I'm always like, yo, let's do that.
Yeah.
So, I think I was like very influenced by all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the worst gig or one of the worst gigs you've ever done?
Oh, jeez. I love France,
Yeah.
but there are a few moments there.
Oh, that's great. What happened?
Yeah. Well, we had this little residency, and like, let's just say it was a very high-end golf resort.
Okay.
That it was, a lot of money to just be a member.
Yeah.
And we used to play there every Friday night, and we used to get like a lot of requests, like wild requests, like, hey, can you play like some Jewish music? I'm like, huh?
Sure.
Can you play us a song from Holland? Play a
Yeah.
song from Holland. I'm sorry, I don't know any songs from Holland.
Yeah.
I'm just like, whoa, like, I don't know songs. Like, they would really be like, but how come you can play this and you can't play that?
Yeah.
I was like, wow. But anyway, worst gig, I really don't think this is the worst gig, but this one is one that comes to mind, is that one day this family sat at that place. This family sat right in front of us. Like,
Yeah.
here's the band, and the first table,
Yeah.
a family sat there. Now, this venue is shaped like an L, and we're playing like this. So there's a whole other section that we
Right.
just tell you. So they're sitting right in front of us, and the one guy is like going,
Yeah.
softer, lower. And I'm like, we're literally playing like ting, ting, to ting,
Yeah.
ting, fly me to the moon.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm literally whispering,
Yeah.
and the drummer's barely hitting the drums.
Yeah.
And he kept on saying lower. And anyway, like, my bass player, who was like appointed stage manager, was basically like, don't listen to him, just, there's no lower we can go, let's just whatever,
Yeah.
keep going. And I was like, okay, until we finish that set, and we go around, and he's like, what the hell, they like pulled our cables
What?
out of our PA.
What?
I'm like, you could have asked us to literally, like, that you're gonna do that, because this was like, one of those, you don't just pull it out.
Right. Jeez.
But yeah, there was stuff like that happened. There was other gigs. I would say what was really hard was when we had to do like 5 sets. That was literally brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. 5 1-hour sets. We've had that happen on ships before.
Yeah.
And that is like, whoa. You literally talk about mental exhaustion.
Right.
Yeah.
And your voice.
Yeah, but fortunately, I would just play instrumentals. I was like, when they gave us like 4 sets, 5 sets, 5 sets was very rare, but if it did happen, I was just like, no, I'm going to sing 2 songs in this set.
Yeah.
And I would literally sing like, like a Bill Withers, ain't no sunshine.
Yeah.
Just keep it real
Yeah.
simple.
Keep it low. Yeah.
Sing some Nora Jones and
Yeah.
just chill out. I was like, I'm not singing. And so my voice didn't get damaged. It only got damaged once on a ship. When we got on there, we didn't realize that there was actually a wild virus on that ship. Wild.
Is this real?
This is a real thing.
Wait.
Oh man, no, hang on, wait. Let's take away that worst gig and make this the worst gig.
Yeah,
this is the worst contract.
Okay.
Because we get on there, and whenever you like go into a contract, it's like, yeah, embark, like you're all excited. Who's here? Because you make friends with people and blah blah blah. We get on there, and the first thing we see is like people covered up head to toe, like with like bottles of disinfectant. We're literally walking on the ship like, woo, yeah, and we're like, what is? Hang on, wait a minute, no, why? Yeah, they're like wiping down the handles, giving us sanitizer. You're like, and then we learn that they have like the GI virus.
Jeez.
Which is, and it was like red, like level red, apparently, whatever. And so I did actually lose my voice on that contract because they used a chemical to clean the ship.
Oh wow.
It was very, very strong. And one day I was singing. I'm just singing in like the grand foyer, and I'm mid note, my voice just cuts out.
Jeez. And
I was like, huh? Like I just couldn't sing. No, there was no audible note coming out.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I actually tried harder. I was like, like trying to sing. And then my bass player come up to me. He was like, just stop right now. Yeah. I was like, okay. And then, I actually had no voice for 3 months.
What?
Yeah. I couldn't sing for 3 months.
Did you do therapy, or how did it come back?
I contacted my classical, like the first singing teacher I ever had. I contacted him in New Zealand, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And he just said, stop singing. Yeah. Like, completely stop singing. And this way, you'll heal. Because I didn't have nodules or anything. It was just that chemical had just done something that really messed me up.
Wow.
Because, and like, some of the other girls in the theatre were like, oh yeah, I can feel it. I can feel the that chemical damaging my vocals. But yeah, I couldn't sing for like 3 months. I just played instrumental music. I would even have guests coming up to me going like, aren't you meant to be a singer? I would be like, no, we're an instrumental band.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't sing at all.
Wow.
That was actually just before I wrote that song as well. Like, I was just over it. That was the worst contract. That was the worst gig of my life. Yeah, definitely.
Jeez. Yeah, because our voices are so special to us.
For sure.
Like, it's like a part of who I am. It's part of how I express myself. Mm-hmm. It's like how I connect with 100%. Myself a lot. Man, well, I'm so glad that you're better. Cause that's so intense. I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah, it was not fun. But
man, to be put through, I mean, it seems so crazy to me how many stories work this way, where like this incredibly dark thing happens and then this incredibly amazing thing happens right after it. Like losing your voice for 3 months, and then Kirk Whalum being like, you want to come out here and do this thing with me? And that being the impetus. Like, how long of a time was there between losing your voice and that moment with Kirk?
I lost my voice at the end of 2015, and I met Kirk 2017.
Wow. So that's a while. That's a big gap.
Yeah. During that like 2016 period, I kind of was like in a vibe where I thought about it, and I was like, well, if I quit music, I'll have a 9-to-5 job eventually, and have a secure, constant income that comes regularly. Right. And I was like, but I would probably be miserable.
Right.
And then I thought, so there is like the ups and downs, ebbs and flows of the journey. So I thought, well, I'm going to be miserable if I quit, and there's going to be times that I'll be miserable now, maybe,
Right.
now and then something happens or you just get a bit stressed out. I'd rather be miserable doing that than
Yeah.
doing something and still not being happy about it. So
Right.
that's when I was like, yeah, let me just go. I also heard this other thing that Kirk Whalum said. It's hilarious. It was on a video on YouTube that
Mm-hmm.
my band, one of the members in the band, found this video of him speaking to a university,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, "Oh, Kirk Whalum, you're wow, blah 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 blah. So, what advice do you have for all these aspiring university musicians?" He was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Don't do it." And people did like an awkward giggle, and then he goes, "No, if you have something else that you're really good at, go do that."
Yeah. That's
He's like,
amazing.
but if you literally can't stop thinking about music, you can't stop spending your time doing it, you love it, it brings you the most joy in the world, then buckle up and get ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, just go. And you have to go full bore. And he said, don't even have a plan B.
Yeah.
Like, just go 100%. And if you're that person, yeah, go. But if you have something else that you're good at, I would suggest you go and do that. And I was
That's
like,
such good advice.
I was like, holy moly, that's pretty hardcore. So I was like, I can't be like, I don't even teach music, as I have a couple of people that I mentor, but I don't even do lessons because I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not my goal in life.
Right.
So I try my best not to. I do the odd one, but
Yeah.
I try and focus on plan A, goal A.
Yeah. Jeez,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And that's all. It's also just like, I mean, it's very bold. It's like saying like, I'm going to sink or swim, go after the thing that I want to go after.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, it takes a lot of courage, I think. We're at an hour, and just want to say thank you again so much for meeting up.
Cool.
I love learning from you, and if you're ever down to give me a lesson, boy, would I love it, because I don't
hit me up.
Perfect. Sweet. Is there anything in particular that you want people to see or things you want to promote right now?
Go and like me on Instagram.
There you
Follow
go.
me. All those sites.
Like you on Instagram. That's a...
Like, I know. I was like, I don't usually say this,
Yeah,
so I'm
like
just
and subscribe on Instagram.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Check out my website. Get my music. I have a song called Meet Me Again.
Mm-hmm.
And my name is Andrea Lisa. And
Are you doing like any private gigs right now?
Right now, in this beautiful COVID, not really. I think I'm going to do lower deck sessions.
Okay, cool.
At some stage next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me know when you do and I might come down.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Let's jam. Let's do that.